So the talk today is particularly geared around the precept of not being angry, since it was our Fusatsu ceremony this morning. And so, yeah, to talk a little bit about anger as a thing and a practice. And I have a koan here that reflects that a bit, I think. And to introduce it, so we have precepts, 10 of them in particular for sort of lifestyle practice. And the ninth is to not be angry. Do not be angry. Don't harbor resentment, rage, or revenge. And of course, right, we all have anger, and some of us harbor more rage and revenge than others. And it's a real stuck place. It's a difficult practice. And I say that not just for myself, it's been a difficult practice for me throughout my life, but for the whole world, right? Our world is angry. And our world is loving and kind. And so we're on the spectrum. We're all on the spectrum somewhere. And so there's me and my responsibility for my life. And then there's my responsibility for helping to try to harmonize everybody. I work on anger for myself, and then I work on anger for the world. And sometimes they're two different practices, although ultimately it's one practice. And so the precept is seen in different ways. I like Zen because Zen doesn't necessarily take things literally. Whereas some Buddhist paths do have a literal translation for the precepts. And don't be angry means literally, don't be angry. Maybe you can get frustrated, but when it crosses the line to anger, then it creates a separation. And so don't do that. Whereas Zen, it's more like anger, and this is what attracted me to Zen initially, was that there's a middle way, and it's a balance, and anger is part of life, and it's on a spectrum. And so we find the balance with anger is really the essence of the intention. So we try to be as angry as is helpful without being too angry. And every situation has a different sort of need, or along the spectrum, every situation, anger will fit into it in a different way, at a different degree, to a different degree. And so I like that. I like this, that anger is okay. It's okay to be angry, but we find balance with it. Try to find the middle way and have integrity with it, with ourselves in anger. So with that introduction in mind, the koan that I'm sharing today, I was hesitant to share it because it has the word beating in there, right? It's called unjust beating. And that no one's really being beat in a harmful way in the koan, but just the word is triggering. So I was like, I don't know, is that triggering? Like, because some of us have been beat and it's terrible and we get triggered and it's not something enjoyable to talk about. So anyway, if anybody has a violent background, there's a history of violence in our families, I just want to respect that and appreciate that and realize that that does have a place, right, in the Dharma, in our practice. But that's not necessarily what I'm talking about here in this koan. So it's more like an unjust irritation or an unjust cut down or an unjust insult. Might be closer to the point here. A monk asked Ukiyu from the congregation of the master of Joshu. Ukiyu asked him, how does the spiritual path of Joshu compare to here? So it's a monk from a different congregation, like it'd be like a different Zen center, studying with a different teacher, and comes here and asks a question, like, how does it compare? How does the Dharma compare? The monk said, not different. Ukiyu said, if it's not different, then you should go back there. So somebody's coming to visit, and then someone from this Sangha is asking them, how is it different? Not different. If it's not different, you should go back there. The monk said, the staff has eyes, don't hit people in haste. Well, he hit him. If it's not different, then you should go back there, and he hit him with the staff. And so this isn't a beating, right? It's just a real irritation, right? It's like he's trying to poke and provoke, which nobody likes, but it's kind of a testing point in tradition of Zen, and still happens today, right? Sometimes we don't know where somebody is until you hit the right button. And it's like, oh, there you are. Like, what's going on with you? What issues do you have underneath the surface? What stuck places do you have? What ideas do you have? And you kind of test out and feel it out, and you hit the right button, and then a lot comes up. And so we do that. It's not so much intentional, but it just happens naturally. Like at some point, it's like, hey, I want to find out where people really are at. So I'm going to kind of just say a few different things. I know it's irritating sometimes. So there's a sense of testing, here. What's the Dharma like at your place? It's no different. Oh, then you should go back there. That's super annoying. And then he hit him. The monk says, the staff has eyes. Don't hit people in haste. That's a pretty good answer, right? It's like, I see the oneness, right? We're all one. Don't lash out at me or trigger me or try to irritate me in haste, because I have the eye of oneness. I see we're all connected and we're all the same. And that's why it's no different. Ukiyu doesn't let off. Staff has eyes. Don't hit people in haste. Ukiyu says, I've hit one today. And then hit him 3 more times. It's like, well, that didn't work. I'm going to keep going. See if I can get him out of oneness. That's right. I'm going to try to trigger him out of oneness to see where that lands and where he's at. Ukiyu said, the monk then left. The monk walked away. Ukiyu said, an unjust beating, but there's someone taking it. So he sees that he's getting irritated, but he's still kind of pursuing that. I've irritated you, but you're still allowing it. This is your universe that I'm in. You have created this. And the monk turns around and says, what can I do? The handle is in your hands. You're the one who's trying to irritate me. What do you want me to do? Ukiyu says, if you want, I'll turn it over to you. And so the monk grabs the staff and hits him 3 times. And at this point, they're playing. Ukiyo says, unjust beating, unjust beating. The monk says, reiterates his word and says, still there's someone taking it. Ukiyo said, I hit this guy in haste. The monk then bowed. So, right, he acknowledges, so the monk takes a staff and pokes him, and then he acknowledges, I hit this guy in haste. It's like, okay, I see the oneness that you see. And then the monk bowed, and then Ukiyo said, you still act this way? The monk laughed and left. And Ukiyo, the final word, he says, so this is what it amounts to. So it's a funny interaction. It becomes funny, right? It's like they're about the same, you know, maybe not the same, but they do have the same understanding. They can see that there is their peers. And that's all there is to it. It's like, okay, I see where you're at. You see where I'm at. We realize oneness. Now we can go our separate ways. It's like we've established that. We've recognized this. You know, today, that might not go over so well. We might say the world is angrier today. Maybe not, but I think in a sense it is. It can be. And so we're all a lot of us walk around with defensive guard up. We all have our defenses. And we all protect ourselves. And we don't like being rattled or provoked or triggered. And if we are, some of us use anger as a defense mechanism. And as I mentioned, right, for me, this has been a personal struggle throughout my life, being angry. I was raised by an angry person, and I learned that, and then I also internalized it. So I have triggers around that. And so it has been a real practice for me for many years. And I've practiced it in different ways. And I wouldn't say I've practiced very well with it. There's been times where I practiced well with it, where I was actually listening to things that were helpful and practicing and with the intention. And I would like to do more of that. It's like a life goal. And I think a large part of my practice with anger has been acceptance. Accepting that I have anger, accepting that I'm angry, accepting myself for when I am angry, practicing being one with it. It's like I am anger, right? So I no longer just project anger without being aware of my projection. When I get angry at something or someone, it's like my first thought is anger, and then my second thought is, oh, well, that's just me. This is my projection. This is what I'm allowing in my world. This is my choice, is to be with triggers, and to be with getting triggered. And I accept it. And so, yeah, recognizing that I'm somewhere on the spectrum of anger. And so it's more about how can I be in integrity with anger. Can I be angry and still be one? Can I be angry and still be love and loving? And so the precept really isn't to not be angry. It's to be myself. If we took all the precepts and rolled them into one, it would be yourself. Just be yourself, right? And that's hard. That takes practice. It takes quiet. Takes a quiet practice to let the energy settle. It takes accepting myself for all my faults and all my issues and all my dreams and all my great things. Accepting my love as equally as I accept my anger. And so to be myself, right? Sometimes I'm angry. That's myself. And if I'm one within that, so oneness within anger, anger within oneness. If I'm one with my anger, then I feel I'm in integrity, which makes it easier to apologize if I need to, easier to make amends if I need to. And so, yeah, I want us to consider, right, to not judge ourselves when we're too angry. It's not about saying, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's not me. It's more of reason like, oh, this is me. Can I accept this? And how can I accept it? And that goes for all the precepts, right? All the precepts aren't about not doing things. It's about doing it from my true self, doing it as myself. And then practicing acceptance. And then through acceptance, I can change. If I don't accept it to begin with, then I can't change it. If I'm in denial about my anger, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. That's not really me. Then that self-judgment makes it a lot harder to actually effectively shift and change that behavior. So I accept it. Yeah, I'm a jerk. I'm an asshole. I'm angry. I screw up regularly. And I want to do better. I still, I want to be one with that, closer to myself. And then I can open up to what changes need to happen in my life for me, what choices I need to make in my life to shift that judgment and behavior. The world, as I mentioned, is an angry world. And it's a bit scary. I'm a little scared about where our country's going with our new administration. It boggles my mind, right? To think that such a big part of me uh, is open to this. So I practice acceptance, right? Am I going to get angry at our country? How can I use my anger effectively? How can I be angry at what is happening and what will happen from oneness? How can I be angry and in integrity through this administration? And so I encourage all of us to practice with our anger. I encourage you to practice with who, what, when, where, and why. So if we find ourselves getting angry and judgmental or triggered, right? Who is angry? Who am I angry at? And who is being angry? What is anger? What is my anger? What is getting angry? What does getting angry mean? When am I angry? Right? Is it just around people that I love? Is it just around people that I'm not connected with? Is it only when I'm trying to diet? My sugar addiction being threatened? When am I angry? And is there a pattern there? Oh, it's always around this. Where am I angry? Am I angry at work? Am I angry at home? Am I angry in the car driving? Am I angry when I'm by myself? Right? I tend to get angry just by myself. And then sometimes with my daughter, right? We're very close, and so I worked on my patterns with anger with my daughter, right? Because it's not fair for me to be like, oh, I'm nice when I'm out with other people, but then I get home and then I'm angry and around her, right? That's not, I don't want to be one with that. I want to be one with being angry in a balanced way, with intention. Consciously. I want to be consciously angry. And why? Why are we angry? For every instance we get angry, there's a story behind that. There's a belief behind that. I'm angry because it's happening and I believe this shouldn't happen. Where's the belief? Where does the belief come from? What is driving my reason for getting angry? Even if it's just a learned physiological response. Like, well, why? Why did I learn that? And why do I still repeat this? Yeah, so anyway, that's a very simplified way of just looking at how to practice with anger, who, what, when, where, why. But it's a start, if any of us struggle with anger and we want to start practicing with it, that's one way. Another way is to sit with it, right? That's really the primary way that we recommend and practice in Zen, is to be with it while be still with our anger, without the story, right? So my dad was a jerk. I learned to be a jerk, and I'm still angry at him. I can sit and I can think of all the reasons why he's a jerk, and I can be angry about this. That's gonna go nowhere. What is gonna go somewhere is when I'm sitting and I'm like, oh, being a jerk is painful. I don't know who's a jerk. I don't care about who is a jerk. It's just the feeling. Oh man, that's so triggering. When I get triggered, it's so powerful and so, painful. I don't want to feel this way. I'd rather get up and run, but I'm not going to. I'm going to sit through this. I'm going to sit through this feeling of anger, where normally I would be lashing out, but I'm sitting still with it, and I'm letting the energy consume me. I'm letting go of myself, letting go of my ego and my stories, and I'm just being the anger. That at least allows our body to start processing it on a deeper level. It allows the stuck places that hold the angry energy to start to relax enough that it can release. So this relaxing and releasing is a really important part of this practice in Zen. Yeah, and so I think the last thing I encourage is to practice with the emptiness of it. When I'm angry, I feel like there's something that I'm engaging with that's real. This is really threatening, or this is really triggering, or this is really a reason to be angry. This is a real, it's really important for me to be angry now. Practice is letting that go, just dropping, stepping back from that and realizing, oh, I don't have to be angry right now. I just got triggered, but there's nothing here. There's nothing really here that's requiring me to be angry. It's empty of what I was projecting. The connection or the relationship that I'm fighting, struggling with can be let go of. Similar to the monk, right? The guy's just poking him and poking him. He's like, I'm just going to leave. He goes, oh, you're leaving. Well, there's somebody who got triggered. And he's like, okay, fine, you got me, right? I'll play and I'll hit you too. Right? He had that. And then they were both able to just let go and be like, yeah, there's nothing here. We're all one. We can drop this. I get angry at the universe a lot. I'm like, and I sort of, I don't know, I put angry energy out toward the universe. Frustration, a lot of frustration. It's like, oh, this is frustrating. Oh, this is frustrating. And I put that out. And so for me, I'm practicing realizing that this is my universe. Everything I experience is my own projection. And I have choice about this. I can choose to create an angry field because it's helped me. My anger has helped me push through a lot of things in my life. And I'm like, if I'm not angry, my structure will fall apart. So I try to maintain that amount of anger. But just seeing that this is my universe. I'm creating an angry universe, and that I shift that. So now I'm shifting it more through love, through asking myself, what do I want in my universe? Do I want my universe to be angry? And I answer myself, no, I don't want an angry universe. I want a loving universe. And then I bring that energy more.